This is our Eye on Tech segment. If you watch Arise News regularly, you know that Eye on Tech is every Friday on the Global Business Report on Arise News, 11 a.m. West African time. I'm sorry to show my bias, but this might be my favorite segment that we're about to get into for today. Technology and digitization sector. I am happy to be joined by two gentlemen from the awesome KPMG team. Lawrence Amadi, who of course is a partner, Tech Assurance and Digital Finance KPMG in Nigeria, and Ladi Asuni, who is a partner and Head Analytics and Operations Advisory. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rotus.
Let's get into it. As we speak, right now in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Consumer Electronics Show is going on. There are all types of displays of new technology, window panes that are televisions, flying cars, and so on and so forth. But bringing it here to Nigeria, let's get grounded. I want to ask you both, starting with you, Lawrence, what are your thoughts on how this budget is able to advance the penetration of technology and digitization in Nigeria?
Rotus, thank you very much. I think the first point I want to make is there's a slight reduction in the number from 2023 to 2024, and it's about 40% reduction. What are the key areas or key segments in this ministry? First, we have to talk about the NCC. There's the NIMC. There's the Nigerian Communications Satellite, NIGCOMSAT. There's a NIPOST, just to mention a few critical agencies within the Ministry of Communication. Now, how important will this be? It's not a good time to talk about a reduction when you're thinking about how do we then propel what we call the digital economy. Now, we all know that the digital economy splits into e-commerce infrastructure, and then there's e-business. The telcos are all in here. They need approximately $3 billion to upgrade the network every year. So you've got to pay attention to how do we start scaling, this segment and ensuring that we have the right private sector-led mindset to run in this budget for the country.
$3 billion is, if you use the exchange rates, the equivalent of what's been allocated to defense, which is the highest allocation in the budget. So it tells you where we are and where we need to be. Ladi, let me come to you. What are your clients saying? KPMG, you guys, you're international, you're multinational, you got a lot of clients. What are they telling you about what they expect from tech from this budget and this government?
All right, thank you very much, Rotus. When we talk to our clients, there are three major areas of concern when you think about the situation with our clients today. Number one is the situation with IT skills, right? We all know with the mass immigration of talent from Nigeria, technology sector has been one of the most targeted in terms of remote work opportunities, outright immigration to countries where opportunities are great. So technology talent has really impacted our clients across sectors, whether you're talking about banking, telecoms, manufacturing and the like. So technology talent is great. Our clients are interested in knowing what initiatives the ministry has in place to enhance availability of talent. Of course, the minister, as of November last year, launched the 3 million technical talent program, which is expected to build skills across 3 million Nigerians over the next 4 years thereabout by 2027. And they started with the prototype, program, which has managed to get interest from over 1 million Nigerians, 30,000 of which have been enrolled. So it will be good to see how this connects back to the technology talent shortage. A lot of the minister's publications have really been around how to get these people integrated back into the private sector, expose them to opportunities even in international markets where Nigeria begins to position as a net exporter of talent. So that's an area of concern. The second area I'd like to talk about will be around the high technology spend. Enterprise technology in Nigeria today, outside of personnel costs, the most significant spend relates to technology solutions that are imported. So whether you're talking about your ERP systems, your enterprise resource planning systems, your financial management system, procurement systems, HR system, customer relationship management systems, a significant part of the solutions in this space are mainly imported technology. We put significant strain on our clients' IT spend, puts a significant strain on the FX. So the question is, how do the initiatives, especially as we develop talent, how do we begin to channel this into strengthening the local technology capability? How do we start developing technology solutions made in Nigeria for Nigeria. The public sector is a huge employer of labor, is a huge part of the market, and can begin to think about initiatives to, invest and promote development of locally developed technology solutions. And the third aspect of it I would like to talk about has to do with, cloud. When you talk about cloud technologies with our clients today, the major concern is usually around issues of data sovereignty, data residency, and it's been, cloud technology has been on, for so many years, but it's still interesting to see, as of today, the only data center in Africa, as we have it, is in South Africa. With the amount of business going on in Nigeria, I think there's a huge opportunity for the government, the ministry, to work and incentivize these technology players to begin to think about how we establish local data centers so that our corporates, can accelerate their journey to cloud adoption, can lower their IT running cost, and we can generally spur greater innovation without necessarily compromising our data sovereignty, as the case may be.
Awesome. Technical skills, imports, and cloud, right? Definitely. So, perfect, Ladi. Lawrence, let me come back to you. Using that as a launch pad now, let's come to the minister has a lot of plans, and I was hoping was going to be here today, but hey, this 3 million thing, and then now he has another plan where he says we should accelerate prosperity, and by the way, just for our viewers, that's Dr. Bosun Tijani, who is the Minister of ICT. Accelerate prosperity through technical efficiency. And he's got a number of key themes. He's got knowledge, he's got policy, he's got infrastructure, he's got innovation, entrepreneurship, and capital, and then he's got trade. I was talking with the Minister of Budget earlier about the handshake between the ministries, because these themes are just spreading all over the place. So what do you make of it? What do you make of it?
So Rotus, I'll try not to ensure our viewers are then confused further with the extras, in the complexities in this. First, I must mention that collaboration and partnerships will be so crucial to ensuring that he achieves the objectives. So the things around knowledge, around policy, also ensure, and there's a touch point on creatives, by the way, because when you look at the traffic we're driving in the creative sector, Nigeria is ranking top 5 in the TikTok traffic globally. In telephony, we're ranking top 5, which means we actually do talk a lot, and it just tells you that there's a lot of opportunity in this space. But coming back to collaboration and partnerships, recently, the Israeli government invested about $3.2 billion in Intel. Intel is a Silicon Valley company from the US, and we all know how the world is currently looking at the Israel-Hamas conflict today. So it tells you that if you don't have governments putting the right partnership arrangements and the right collaboration structures with the private sector, there's going to be a big struggle. So that's extremely important. The next bit will be, what are we thinking of around the emerging technology areas? And I know we'll probably get here, but AI continues to emerge as a key selling point for most companies globally. In Nigeria, Google Maps is probably one clear example where the intel is there and is guiding how people do businesses and commute. But we have to say to ourselves, how do we then ensure we can create opportunities off the back of this? I mentioned something about the creatives. For those who know the guys who are emerging and driving this traffic, Rema, is someone who emerged just very recently. And less than 5 years of his emergence, he's got 1 billion downloads in Spotify, driven by TikTok, which means you've got to find a way to promote the communication sector a lot more and see that in the media space, we can promote our guys and find ways to also see how we can, enrich the economy a lot more. You hear the likes of Burna Boy, Davido, and Wizkid. These guys will charge $2 million per appearance on a show. How much of that is coming back to the country? So again, we've got to start thinking of how do we promote the kind of collaboration that helps us, mitigate the FX shortage that Ladi talked about earlier.
Okay, but Lawrence, let me follow up on this, and I know we're still squeezed for time, but real quick, Spotify is a Swedish company. TikTok is Chinese. The Burner Boys, the Remas, all these folks, they live overseas, right? So do we need a platform here that's Nigeria made to where all these streaming services we can earn money that way? Because it doesn't, again, as you just said, none of this money comes back. If you look at GDP growth for the creative sector, it's like less than 0.1% or something. So how do we is it an infrastructure issue?
It is an infrastructure issue. So if you take two parts in this communication sector, the comms part of it is contributed over 10% to our GDP in the last 10 years. So averaging 12 to 14% average. The creative side, not so much. Ladi made a point earlier that from a cloud standpoint, it's Azure, it's AWS, it's Google Cloud, and none of these servers or data centers are in Nigeria.
Right.
So if we have it in South Africa, then I think we have to start reflecting again on how do we create the environment of just making sure that we have the opportunity to also host some of these cloud solutions here and promote the adoption locally.
Fantastic. Ladi, let me come to you. This question is supposed to be on artificial intelligence, but are we there yet? Because if you go to the website of the NCC, 60% of Nigerians are on 2G. 2G. I think the next one, 3G is 9.5%, 4G is about 29%, 5G is 0.8%. This is with all the hoopla around. So, broadband penetration is under 50%. My question was on AI. I was supposed to ask you how the government uses AI to leverage is that even an appropriate question at this time?
I think it's an appropriate question, right? There are two ways to look at it. You bring the dimension of the spectrum, the coverage, whether or not we have 5G, 4G coverage across Nigeria, which is relevant. But then part of the problems or part of the solutions that we're seeing in the AI space, especially when you look at generative AI, is helping to bridge some of these gaps. I think a couple of months back, you'd see when Humane, one of these AI companies, launched a device that basically abstracts the need for a mobile phone.
Exactly.
So more or less, you'd see that the AI, where generative AI is today, is creating that fusion between voice, data, video, such that the way if it's well integrated, people with feature phones can actually have AI-driven interactions based on voice. During Satya Nadella's presentation, during one of the Microsoft events last year, he gave an example of how rapid AI adoption, the Indian government is adopting AI for the local farmers. And part of the challenge that you see that they try to solve there is that you have local farmers, semi or fully literate, that really don't even know what sort of government incentives, government investments or programs are available. Yeah. And by leveraging AI, they were able to bridge that gap, because then all of a sudden that farmer in that village is able to make a voice-based query about certain programs. Yeah. In this case was the rice farmers, Ladi. And then you get a voice response. Yeah. So.
There's never enough time. I'm going to have you both on my tech show on our Rise. Ladi, Asuni, Lawrence, Amadi, thank you so much for joining us to talk about tech. Very fantastic, involved, great sector. Thank you so much.